Hi, this is Dr. Nikki, and I'm excited to be here again with you modeling word problems for kindergarten on the Math Learning Center app. I think they're the coolest apps, and you can pull them up. They're free. They work on all these devices in your classroom when you're telling your students stories. And so um, the kids should have their own Rec and Recs, and then you can model it with the big one, and just wonderful. So let's tell part whole stories today. So we have part whole stories are when there's no action, right? It's different than an add to story. It's just you're telling about two different things. When I tell part whole stories with students, I tell it. I use the two rows. So I say I usually tell upstairs down to stairs stories. So I'll say there were five kids upstairs and there were five kids downstairs. How many kids were there in the house? Or I'll say there were two kids upstairs and there were three kids downstairs. How many kids were there in the house? So I will use the both rows and I will tell part whole stories in that way. And maybe I want to work on doubles within 10. So I could say there were two kids upstairs and there were two kids downstairs. And I could ask the kids, what kind of fact is that? Right? So when you're telling part whole stories, a really important thing to remember is that if you use both rows, then the kids get to see it's a part and a part. And now I want to go to 10 frames and 5 frames. So in Kinder, it's really important to work with that 5 frame as well as to work with that 10 frame. So if I'm telling part whole stories, I'm going to use two different colors. So I'll go in here and I'll use, I might say there were two yellow marbles and there were two blue marbles, right? Or there were two yellow marbles and there were three blue marbles. It's a part whole, right? I could say there was two yellow marbles and one blue marble, right? And so I'm going to tell part whole stories within 5, and then I'm going to tell part whole stories that make 5, right? And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tell part whole stories within 10, right? So, and then part whole stories that make 10. So within 10, I might be telling a story like this. There were 5 blue marbles and 2 yellow marbles, or there were 5 blue marbles and 3 yellow marbles, right? But then I might say there were 5 blue marbles and 5 yellow marbles. Or I could say there were 6 blue marbles and 4 yellow marbles, right? All of those make 10 combinations. There were 7 blue marbles and then there were 3 yellow marbles. How many marbles were there altogether? So I'm going to be working on part whole stories, and what I love about this is I can go in here and I can, use different colors and tell different stories. So I could tell stories about marbles, or I could tell stories about starfish, or I could tell stories about ladybugs, and so that's really important. This is a level 3 story, part whole, where you're looking, both parts, and you're looking for the whole. All right, I will see you next time around.